Hey YouTube, this is a request from Civet to work out how to use a loop pedal. So this is a kind of loop pedal 101. I think Ivor might want to see this as well. So the pedal I'm using here is an SOS looper, which is just a copy of, I think it's a copy of the Ditto looper. One button, one knob. It not big enough to take a battery, so you have to buy one of these like a wee connector thing, so you can plug it in to the back of the amp. Civet is going to have a problem when she tries to use her looper pedal though, because this is hers, so this will be for the future rather than just now. So I'm just going to stick it into my effects chain here. So what I've done, what you need to do with a looper is turn the amp back on again, because it basically records what you're putting in. If you're using the distortion on the amp to do it, it means that whatever you record in the loop gets distorted because it's after. So if you want to put distortion on, well, you can still do that anyway, but so if you want to have a clean track and a distortion track, you need a distortion pedal in front of the looper, or any other effect in front of the looper. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Yeah, so that's I always like the idea of just when I bought this wee amp here, the wee Laney VC15, I thought, yes, that means I don't need to use any pedals at all, but I use a looper quite a lot. You've seen it in my videos. My one's a big fancy one with lots of buttons on it, but I very rarely use anything that the wee one doesn't do. Where was I? Yes, but the reason I couldn't use I don't just use the amp with no pedals is because I need the distortion in front of the looper, otherwise everything you loop is distorted. So if we play clean, I'm using Civet's guitar, which is Meat Phil, which I'll probably do a video of because this thing is awesome. It really is. When I got it, I thought this is the most hideous thing I've ever seen, which I kind of still think is the most hideous thing I've ever seen, but I really like it. So we'll go for clean. Yep, so that's my clean sound. Yeah, so when you've got the one with one button on it, which is a bit harder to use, I did actually have to look up the instruction manual, which is a wee tiny thing with the SOS looper, and it's got one page for the looper. It can be done with one button. You just need to. The only complicated thing about this, but this kind of in general works for all looper pedals. The Digitech Jamman, which you probably can't see there, has got 4 buttons on it, so you can use one for starting the loop and then one for stopping it, whereas this one's got the one button to do it. So basically what you do is, especially if you're starting out, don't try and do a 5-minute song and then loop over it, because it's all to do with the timing about when you get the next bit. And a great thing for just arsing about in solos, I should really, there's a ZZ Top song we're doing in the band which I should really put in, if I can remember what it goes like. See, I can remember the chords, but I can't remember what the tune goes like now. So in this case I would just be looping that one wee bit. What you do is you stomp on it. I'll try and make it very obvious when I'm stomping on it. Yeah, you can see my foot. So you build it up. So you don't yep. So you kind of who's not paying enough attention, so right. So you stomp it once to start it recording. When you stomp on it a second time, it goes into overdub mode, which I'll show you. And then if you double tap it, it stops it. So that should, hopefully I've not blanked it. Yeah. Right, so stomp once to turn it on, and stomp twice to stop it. Which is not what I'm used to. Right, so that's me obviously running the clean end. So if I run that along the back. And the one knob on it, all it does is adjust the volume of the loop. You want to be a wee bit clever with it. What you might want to do with the original loop, the one I've just played down there. See if you turn the guitar down a little bit, and then play it, and then so when you go into the overdub, you can ramp it up a little bit. You find that if you do, you kind of want the original one to be quite quiet, so that when you overdub stuff on top of it, you can hear it a bit better. That's also why I like having the. This is a rat pedal on top of it. Right, so the first thing you'll learn when you're doing these things is the overdub mode. So you think, I'm going to be Brian May. So I'll try and do a bit of Brian May type overlaying, and it really does make you appreciate just how good Brian May is at it, because it just ends up as a total mess very quickly. But you can overdub forever. So stuff like that. Did it twice. See? Obviously, if you're clever and you can work out harmonies and stuff, so try that one. Hey. Right, so what I would basically 99% of the time I'm using the loop pedal. I just run it like that, but I don't actually do the overdubby thing. So I'd imagine there's probably an undo option. Oh, right, so when it's on and you press it and hold it, the status is play record, green fast flash. It's not that, that's like the complicated bit. The bit you've got to remember is when you're doing it, is if you're doing your, whatever it is you're doing, it's like you stomp on it at the now, so you do your riff, and then you press stop, which to start the loop again, at the time when when you start repeating. So it's like start, and there's no time. Hold on. To blank it, what you do is you double tap it, but you hold it down, and then it flashes and tells you it's blanked. So you can put like, I mean, back in the old days, my first loop pedal was an Akai Head Rush, which had a 30-second loop on it. That was all you had. This thing, the modern ones are like, I don't know, it's 7 minutes or 10 minutes or something stupid anyway. So you could, put in you can put in verses and choruses quite easily. The problem with that is when you try to do a long loop, the pressure builds till you get that start to get it to loop at the right time. But I mean, you can obviously do much more than. Something that's got a verse and a chorus. I'll just put what's a song that's nice and easy. It's got a verse, a very obvious verse and a chorus. just do that one. So go for a bit of Bad Moon Rising. Just timing wise. You can see the immediate problem I had there. I put the rhythm track in too loud, so I mean I can turn it down. So I will do that. I kind of lost. You kind of got to work your way. Sonically, I suppose it's just like mixing it. You're kind of mixing it live. The distortion is not loud enough to cut over it. Maybe I'll play hard. Right, so what I'll do is I'll turn the volume down a little bit so you can hear it. And the great thing about the loop pedal is the wee guy in the pedal who keeps playing rhythm guitar never changes what he's doing, so he just keeps going forever. For me, the first time I ever ran into one of these things, so it's a double click and then hold it down. So it's 1, 2. Yeah, okay, we're doing that. Right, so it's a double click. What am I doing wrong? 2 minutes on. Aye. So it has to be running. Well, somebody should have practiced this a bit more. Right, so what it tells you to do is a double click to reset it. So if you click, hold down, flashing. Nope. So maybe the 2 minutes already on. Right. I think that's it. Yeah, so when it's already running, you double click or click and hold until it blanks. So the first thing I used this for was, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn the volume down like that. Yeah, so. I've lost my tuning somewhere. Nope, I'm just playing it wrong somehow. Okay. So again, if I'm playing, then I tap, hold, goes back to 0. Right? So here we go with Paranoid. Do it twice here just for sake. Like, so, I mean, that was the same bit I just did twice there. It gives you more room. Like, see if you're wanting to do overdubs on top of that, if you do 2 bars, it means that it'll record 2 bars of loop. So if I'd only done the one, I don't know if that's making sense. Yeah, so with that. it's really good using that for placing notes. So you can either play like on the beat or before the beat or after the beat, and you can't put the wee guy in the pedal who's playing rhythm guitar off. Whereas if you try to do a lot of the stuff I try and do, it's like, you know, the rest of the band are just like, what the hell are you doing? But it's like, you know, you can really mess about and just try working out all over the fretboard where you're going. I mean, I wish I'd had one of these things when I was learning. It'd have been great, because when I was in a band and we used to play, basically just meet my pals, called G-Rock. Shout out. And we just got pretty much drank bucky and played guitar. So I'd be playing the only time chance I would get to play the solo of Paranoid with a backing band, or with any sort of backing, was for like the 20 seconds a week. It was the same for all the other songs. So every solo was like, oh, you only get a couple of shots at playing it per rehearsal, because it's only in the song for like the 4 bars or whatever. So you wouldn't do any practice. Whereas now I can just sit and practice it all the way through. So I mean, the SOS one anyway, I think it's only about 30 quid. I think the Ditto one, which is pretty much the same. I mean, the wee Mosky pedals, or that one's actually a Coco, are really good. I mean, I think morally they're a bit bankrupt because it's just a total copy of a more expensive pedal. But they do work, and loopers have come right down as well. The one I've got, the Jamman Stereo, I originally had, well, as I said, I originally started off with the Akai Headrush, which was like actually a Wham copycat tape echo thing, but it had a looper in it as well. That's the one that Katie Tunstall used. And it was great, but the 30-second thing limited me a bit. And then I moved on to the Jamman, which had longer loops, and you could also save them. So I think it's got a 99 bank memory, so you can have like a loop. You could technically do a gig, you know, like, and just record all your backing tracks to start with, and then I always liked, if I was going to do anything like that, I like doing it live, which is much harder. But you know, like, so I would like to come in and do the bit, and if you're clever with it, you can kind of. I'll try and do one more thing before it goes out. Loop. Yeah, so if I was going to play. Idea if you're a wee bit smarter with it, but it kind of gets a wee bit foot dancey when you're trying to work out what it is you're trying to do. It's dead easy to make a mess of it. And the thing is, especially if you've done what I did there, where I did like a whole verse and a whole chorus as a loop, if you don't hit that thing at the end of it right, it's all going to pop. I think they do have a slight helper function in them where it's not. It'll give you what it thinks you should. When you get it right, you get it right. But it's actually quite easy to get it right. You've just got to remember it when you're playing your first chords. You stomp it on the first chord. Bang. Then you stomp it on that chord, and then it'll just loop indefinitely. I really like this guitar. So I think I like it because I know Civet hates it so much. But yes, so loop pedals are awesome. It's just a case of trying to bend your head round. And when you start doing it, don't try and do like 2 verses and 2 choruses, or 4 verses. Try and just get something dead simple. Actually, the thing that the best one I used to start with was this is going on for ages. When it's on, you stop on it twice and hold it down and it resets it. But something like that. Then stomp. That's Neil Young. It's dead easy. Best solo ever. Yeah, I mean, I could sit and just play over that all day. That's just E minor 7, an A, repeat. So start off with something as simple as that, like 2 chords, and keep it short, and then solo over the top. The whole overdubbing thing is more of it's like a cheesy feature. I suppose you could use it for working out harmony parts, but it's not really anything you want to do. In fact, if you've got one of these, which nobody does, it means you could put the bass line down and the guitar down and then play it solo over the top, which I should probably have done. In fact, sod it. Most people have given up by now anyway, but I'm obviously just going to take a random stab at this thing being in tune as well, which is... It'll do. It'll do. So we're going to have problems with this because the volumes are not going to work. But on. So that the volume and the bass is going to be very quiet compared to the guitar. We'll do the guitar quietly first. Blanket it. something like that. Maybe I'll boost it with, in fact I'll boost it with a compressor pedal, there we go. So they go bass going. The problem is what's happened there is I have made an arse of the bass. That's going to never worked out what I was going to play to start with. So equally you could also, if you want to run it in, you could run if you're like practicing your songwriting, you could just plug the guitar in, or even an acoustic in, do your rhythm chords, leave the thing running, you get time. This is not doing it live, this is just doing it like in the house. Get the bass, plug it in, do that, and then come in with the electric guitar. I found what was quite a good idea was, a lot of the guitars I've got with tons of switches in them, these sort of, well, maybe not that many, but it's quite good if you pick like a really thin phasey sound, you can sort of get an acousticy strummy type sound, stick that in as your backing track, and then when it comes into overdubbing you put in, go on humbucker and give it some, right, half an hour, whatever. Rocking, if you got this far, then you should have already worked out how to use the pedal, and it's dead easy. Rock and roll.